it's alright. I guess it's all in my heart. You'll be my only, my one and only. If that's the way it should start.
Okay, some tools, and by the way, go back to crimpers. I said this was junk. This isn't junk, actually. It's these are the solid ends, really, and that's what these are for. That's what this guy's for. And you'll see how it puts a double crimp on things, right? There's actually two teeth right here, so it'll put like a double. You'll see what you do is you hit it here, it'll put a crimp here, and it'll put a crimp here to hold the wire and to hold and to crush the metal. So it's actually not a bad. I'm just like I'm not using these style terminals. I'm using the heat shrink ones. So now, if you want to get a heat shrink crimper, get this one. So, and it's made by Master Heat Tools for Industry. It's 35084. This is the guy to get. It's got a it's a ratcheter also. You got to ratchet it all the way. People are like, how do you open it up? And there's like nothing. You got to has to be opened. Open up all the way. Good tool. So now that's for heat shrinkable, like ends like this. The clear ones that heat shrink, right? So here's your red insulated. Or not the red crush ones, and then here's your heat shrinkable ends. So this is the one you use for this guy, and this is the one you use for this guy. There you go. This isn't. I sometimes put a little. Like this is actually a really good one because it puts a little extra crush on it. So the other ones I think are garbage. If you see these kind right here. Like this is worthless, right? Like I don't know what the heck, like how this is supposed to get anywhere near. I just don't know if this is a joke or something. You're like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to crush with that? So, now I guess I could take a grinder and grind all this down, but yeah, well, garbage, of course, but. I will be throwing. The only reason I like these is still you can use a stripper. Now there's a better. Now this is actually a cheap stripper gun, and I like it because it's quick and easy, and you just stick it on there and go normally. But 25% of the time, if the wire is too it's a really hard wire, that won't pull. So you got to. There's a really good stripper too. If you're gonna be doing this a lot, get yourself the good stripper. The good stripper. It's the mechanical one. It's big metal. It's got a little point that sits out the side and strips, and then get this guy. If you're going to be using heat shrink, get this guy. Get something. There's a ton of these guys. I guess they expect you to be using these a lot, but I mean, I think electricians use these guys. Car guys are going to be using the heat shrinks with the heat shrink. But anyways, that is some tools. Done. It's super tight. It's shrunk down, of course, but it crushed the shit out of it right here. Right here, so feel a little burnt, but so now I'm going to do this guy, and then I wrap this guy over it. So I'm going to double check this one. I know this is good. You can see I got a good crimp on this one too. And then I pull them too. Remember, I pull test them. So like I said, I shrink them. Then I put these. Then I put the heat shrink wrap over them. Kind of hides my burn too. But that's what I do for all the ends. If I'm not soldering and doing all the goofiness, but that's what I'm doing for the ends and terminals and stuff. Makes it easy, and I know it's good. Okay, here's what not to do, right? So I've got this power cable. Now this is the power to the thing, and if you see this happen, where you have one of these guys pull out with the sheeting or the sheathing, just recut it. This is actually really, I mean, I typically aren't going to be so worried about this, but this kind of wire I am, because you know, these guys. This is the wire that runs hot power to the whole car, and Yeah, it's nitpicky. You probably get away with it, no problem. But you are lowering the power of the cable, lowering the amperage that the wire can handle. And I'm sure this is overkill, but like I said, if you screw it up and you got something hanging off it, just recut another end. So that's what I'm doing. Screwed up. Also, don't use MAP gas. Don't use MAP gas to shrink your things. To heat shrink, just get yourself a little heat gun or a little hair dryer or something. Don't be stupid like me. All you gotta know about looming is just to push it. Like it'll get tight if you pull it. It's like a Chinese finger trap. So you just gotta remember to get this stuff through. See how it turns into a wide snake and just goes. That's all you need to know about looming. If you're not getting the coilover ones or whatever, you're just getting the slip-on ones, which I like to slip on, because then if I have a hard bend, if you have a hard bend, it doesn't come out. If you have a hard bend like this, the slip-on ones will, they're a little more difficult to deal with, and you can't just slip them over. Which if I put this through the thing, I could just slip it on, but that's, I can slip these on. I like them; they're a little tighter too. Getting things out of the way, I need to figure out where's the best spot really to put this firewall. It's going to be a tight fit. It's going to be a tight fit right here, but I think it looks pretty good. It should do pretty good right there. Now this is the parking brake will actually kick out of the way a lot because it hangs out and it connects to the bottom of the dash, so it's out of the way. So I think if I plug that up, I'll put some soundproofing behind it. I'm going to soundproof it probably pretty far up, as far as I can get it probably. I'm going to move that power steering. I'm going to adjust that real quick. Not real quick, but that's a pain in the ass. While I was down here, I shimmed the power steering. You're going to see the shim right here. So I moved this out to get the power steering to move. You're going to get it to line up in the hole. So you got to undo these two bolts here, loosen those up, loosen that up, and then shim it right there. Push the shim out to get it centered in the thing. I'll show you here. So I got this locked in. So that's the neutral safety switch. I got it cranked down now. Hopefully things are going to work. I got it routed up here, and I got the starter wire routed up out of the exhaust way too. Okay, just cut a rough plate to start. Obviously it's too big. I'm going to cut it down, and really what this plate for is just so you can weld some screws on here. You weld the bolts, weld a couple nuts on here to be able to get this thing on and off real easy. Then you just mount this guy, and you have some nice mounting plate, mounting bolts that aren't welded into the body permanently. So obviously there'll be a couple holes or whatever. Put a couple screws, however you want to put them on there. But you can see this one's a little big, so I'm going to cut it down a bit. It's only got 2 mounting points on it too. Some of them come with the mounting plates already. That's kind of nice, but I think this was $170 bucks, but I'm going to cut this down a little bit on the side. Very nice rounded edges, all nice and soft, and not going to cut anything, just rounded them off. Guess I could have done a little better job on that one. Just smoothing things up. So the objective now is to figure out where this guy goes, and as you can see, this spot right here is probably about perfect. Okay, I got some screws welded on the plate. It sticks pretty far. It gives the wires plenty of room to move out of there. So it's not a bad thing. Sticks out pretty good. So I'm going to test fit now. I'm going to mark up where the thing goes and put probably just some sheet metal screws through it. Drill some holes in this and then sheet melt into the body. Got a little bit of a dilemma, and I'm thinking that the parking brake might actually be kind of causing me some problems. And the problem is because when you're putting this plate here, right, and the parking brake, I thought actually went back pretty far, but it actually doesn't. If you look at the parking brake, it's going to connect here. So this is the default off position, so it's pretty much right here. So if I put the fuse block here, it means all my wires have to come. If I put it up a little higher, it would be between here and here. I just don't want it to be constantly kind of just, you know, you put the parking brake on, it kind of hits it, because you have to have the parking brake on this car all the time. This isn't like put it in gear. You have to be playing. I mean, this has to be used all the time. So it's constantly going to be hitting every time. I mean, every time you park the car. All right. First things first is, since this car is not a column shift and it's not a column start, I got to take that stuff out of here, which is this actually goes to the column. So I need to bust that out and move it to the dash. I need to do that real quick. Go through all these wires. I need to go through all of these and figure out what goes here. Okay, just trying to figure this out. I've got this area here. And I don't think it'll be in the way of it sticks out pretty far. You understand, this thing sticks out pretty far. So I'm worried about the shift cable kind of coming across. That wouldn't be a big thing. I think I could manage that. So I'd have to get it up here pretty good. So put that right there probably. And the shift cable would come across it, but it shouldn't be a big deal. This would definitely be out of the way. I could run the dash through here, and I would run obviously the firewall, and the lower would come out the bottom, the rear would come out the bottom, and the steering column would have to come out this side too. So now to do that, then it's still got to get around, you know, it's still got to come up through here, and I could put like a brace or something here to cover this to bring the wiring harnesses through and then out the hole, or versus just put it right here. So putting it right here, this thing is, so now this is another thing, it's pretty tight right here. So if I put it right here, so it's right next to the parking brake and the brake, that wouldn't be too bad. I mean, that's definitely right there on the column. That's an easy thing to, that's an easy one to column, but to, obviously the one's got to run right out the back. The front headlight stuff's in the has to run out the hole right and out the back, which is doable. Can run one out the top, could run the left and the right or whatever, and just run one out this one and then run out this one. Okay, not my best work, but good enough to get it cleaned up. I'm going to run them off the back. So I want to make sure it's plenty big, so I'm put some screws here, lock it in here, put some rubber behind them, and ready to go. Okay, I got paint. Pretty. Okay, pretty much instant dry, thanks to map gas. So now I need to get a rough spot of where the bolts are going to be, and I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to So this was going to be basically laying here. I'm going to run it along here. So now some of the wires I do need to be careful because I need to break them out. Like I need to break the, I've got enough to get to here, from here to the back of the, to probably over the corner on this side. But anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and string this out a little more, get things, start lining things up a little better. I do have to make sure this thing coming out the side there doesn't hit the parking brake. You can see kind of sitting on it right now. So I need to get that locked in and hard against the firewall. I don't want this hitting the parking brake. But that's really why I had to move things, because I didn't want to be able to I really couldn't fit much more than this wire. There's still a fair amount of wire going back. So I added another wire too. I think I added one more wire just to be safe. So see how it goes. Actually, since I have this junction block, this junction block actually takes the place of all these splices going on here. Because these are all splitting into lefts and rights here. So now I can run them from here, which I'm going to do, which is more original factory. So you come through here, you come through this hole, and you lock into here, and you go out as you need. So I'll go ahead and pretty much just whack these off. I need to seriously think about that again. Certain ones I don't. I gotta look to see what's all on here. I'm gonna go double check that. So yeah, back to the drawing board. A little bit extra on the horn. Didn't need to, but there, I did it. It's all in the trash. So now I'm going to take this guy and loom that little bit and cut off that loom probably. So majority of this loom. Oh, by the way, this is the accessory right here. When you turn it, you have two. This is actually a push button start ignition switch. So these ignition switches are different. Now this has got essentially 3 stages: off, accessory, and then start. But you notice there's no spring back. It just goes all the way, right? And that's your starting circuit. You hit the button and start the car. And you can kick it off for accessory, right? And then it'll shut the car off. Anyways, if you take it off that ignition circuit. So anyways, I showed you how to get this thing out of here. I did order a new one. I'm going to see if it's the spring back type. Now remember, the push button start was only on Dodges and Chryslers with torque flights. Okay, so this car was a torque flight car, a V8 car. So it did have the push button start. But like I said, I've got this one here. Now, some people don't like the push button start. Some people, think it's kind of cool with anti-theft, whatever. So this one does have the spring, right? I think the accessories is actually back. Yeah, accessory is back, and that's the default off, and then it's got a spring start. So this has a spring built into it, and a lot of people like that better because they feel it's safer. Because if that button sticks, which I don't know if it would, but let's say it sticks, you have to jump out of the car, and I mean, that has a spring safety in it. Let's say it sticks, you have to jump out of the car and rip the damn battery wire off of it before it destroys the starter, which you're probably not going to make it, and kind of embarrassing. But so I'm going to go ahead. Honestly, this is a lot of physical. People think, oh, it's just the wiring part. To me is easy, right? The whole, let's get the thing, hook it up to, you're hooking up, okay, you got ground and a wire typically, right? And obviously the mapping of the steering harness around here will be a little weird, but honestly, that's not too hard. The fan will be a little tricky. That's a little bit extra wiring to run. I mean, over here you just got choke. You got coils, you got a starter, you got a battery, you got a 1-wire alternator. I've simplified a lot of this stuff. I don't have, a lot of this stuff I've removed. I do not have, well, see, I also am now spring loaded too, so I don't have to worry about starting the car. If you push the button, like if you're up here pushing a button, and you push the start button again while it's running, it has a safety, it has a vacuum switch. So a lot of people's vacuum switches are failing, so they're pushing the button, they're pushing a button and it starts the car, they're trying to start the car while it's running too. So anyways, I'll probably remove, I hope the new ignition I'm getting is a spring back, is the non-torque flight one. It more than likely is, because it's for, I don't know. I didn't check the part number, but I need to. So anyways, that's that. I just want to say that about the ignitions. So Dodge, Chrysler, torque flight V8, push button, start. And you can tell it because it'll have a button that says start on it. And I think this is the buttons for my Dodge. Yeah, see, that actually says start. So I don't want that, but unless I go with the push button. I've been moving buttons around. So anyways, that's that. I'm going to go ahead and continue the routing, and I'm going to try to get, I'm going to get this harness wrapped here, this guy all wrapped, and should be good enough. Maybe get the grommet in it, start really routing some of this stuff up. I don't care about the headlights. That's a pretty simple deal in the end. You know, you got high, low, and turn signals, whatever. I'm gonna have to figure out the daytime running lights, whatever, if I want to run them, but probably not going to. And I need to get that sucker mapped in. I need to think about that right now too, because if I'm going to go down this harness with it, I want to get this in right now, and I believe I do. So I need to get this coming this way through the harness and get it on. So I'll probably put it over that first. I need to take that back off there, slip this on, get the harness through it. Okay, this big harness off the front. I don't use the engine oil sensor wire. I'm not using the alternator exciter wire. I want to leave it in just in case. Some of these things will be left. I can use these for things. Alternator exciter wire, you can't really use that. That's built in. I've got these 5 spare wires here. So now I have a 6th spare wire, which is this engine oil. So now I've got alternator. Now these, out of these 7 wires left now, this is where it gets really easy, right? I've got, this is actually, goes to your alternator. This is the hot choke wire. And this green wire coming off of here is going to be, what is this? Temp center. So this has got to go here. This has got to go here. This goes to the alternator, and this goes to the choke. So those 3 wires are accounted for. And like I said, I got these for that. I gotta go get these 5 wires, 6 wires. Sorry, 6 wires. I don't know why. No, I gotta check this. Maybe I put. I think so. Anyways, 6 wires now. I got 7 spare wires. So the other wires are. This is solenoid power, pretty thick wire. This is the fan control that goes inside. I also have the other ones. This is coil positive. The pink is the coil positive, and the purple is ignition. So that's it. It's real simple now. Like I said, so starter power, coil positive, ignition, and a fan wire. That's it. That's all you need. So now I have to split those harnesses. I have to bring some of these wires, like I have to get the ones coming from the distributor, and I have to get the ones coming off that oil start, pressure start switch, safety switch. That has to come over there, get into the coil and ignition, and then go back to the pump. So I got to hijack the pump wire, and it just comes up and goes back anyways. So, it's coming off the fuse block with power, so I just got to yank it out of there and attach it to here while it comes through. So certain wires I have to get through, and certain wires split over here and split up here. One thing I want to stress, from the beginning, you really need to lay these stupid harnesses out on the ground and go through almost every wire. And then you need to go through what you have and what you're going to have, or what you plan to have, and plan accordingly. Because you don't want to go start fishing through these looms again once they're run through the firewalls and through grommets and go, oh shit, I didn't get enough wires. That's why I kind of overkilled this guy here for the heater, the fan control. I'm gonna have a Bluetooth fan control in the car, so I've kind of overdid it here. I mean, there's plenty of, if I can't get a control 2 relays with this much, you know, I'm an idiot, I guess. You know, I wish I would have probably put another one here for the daytime running lights, but I could maybe do this after the fact, because I mean, you got, I don't know, maybe I could run one off the horn or something. I got power coming off the horn running. Well, horn's on all the time, that won't work. So I just need, running power. So I got KC highlighter plugs, more freaking crap I bought. And I bought the plug for the high and low headlight switch. Like I said, it's just about, I mean, this thing kind of threw me for a loop with the stupid oil pressure safety switch on the fuel pump. I had to reroute that in. I have to reroute that in. I have to route that back over. Most people are like, whatever. And then the neutral safety switch. That kind of threw me for a loop. And I getting the wrong ass relay, getting a stupid shithead Ford relay, remote relay, instead of the good, and I could use one of these, but I've already kind of cut. That's why I'm actually going with a remote relay still, not a relay. It's not a remote. That's actually a remote solenoid. I'm going with a remote relay because I've already made all these cuts in this connection, and they're all running here. I don't want to rerun them back to wherever, and I don't want to have to make another big wire here and put it all back together. So I'm going to run it through. I got a 200 amp. Just actually, it's a relay, so it'll work. And then I'm going to hook it to the solenoid on the starter. I had a solenoid and starter, and like I said, they jumper them. When you don't use that relay and use the factory starter solenoid on like a Mopar or Ford out here, you just jumper it. So, and they sell the big wire, big piece of metal. Anyway, I might do a whole video on starter solenoids, remote, and on the freaking starter and bullshit. And there's like 10 different kinds. But anyways, I can't stress enough about getting your wires right from the start. So I'll show you. It's like just fishing this. I've fished this thing through here now probably 3 times. I pulled it back and back there 4 times. So, and that's just to get these wires broken out of here. I had the fuel pump in, and I had to take it back out. So I had to go back underneath the car, pull it out. I had this is a fuel pump. I had this fuel gauge hooked up. Everything all sealed up, had to take it back out. So anyways, this was going to be in the way running up here, so I moved this and I'll pull it through here. I'll pull it into there. So it's just utter bullshit that I'm going to run it up here. But like I said, I did pretty good on the dash because I broke out the steering column ahead of time. That was fairly simple because, I knew what the dash looked like. I knew what was going to be on the dash. Now, I'm not saying I haven't screwed it up, but at least here it's just encompassed in here, and I can move a wire from here to there. But when you're in the loom, when you've got it loomed up going through crap, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I just wanted to stress that sit down, break everything out, include even your new wires that you're going to include with the harnesses. Get them all zip tied. Obviously, you're going to use zip ties to keep these things organized as you try to get in a car. You will not get away with that. You will not. I would like to see somebody not do that. So, because you can see, I broke. Like this is the rear harness coming out here, out the side. This is how I ended up here. I couldn't do it here because of stupid parking brake. So this is really all the steering column stuff. Here's my extra. This is the fuel pump coming back in, and the heater lines coming back in, and then all this is going over the dash, and then this will go to my. This is actually, I won't be using this. Well, no, this is actually a. What do you call it? Emergency flashers. I could actually hook this up to a switch and use it. So I could actually have emergency flashers on this car. All these are going to go to all the gauges and crap. So, and then this is all that. This is all for the relays of the heater, the freaking fans, electric fans. So, anyways, that's where I am, and like I said, these are the low powers for the LEDs. I'm going to have all LEDs, so you need to really get all that stuff together and organized before you really start trying to throw it together. So just, if probably I could give you one piece of advice, it'd be that. It'd be that rant right there. But anyways, later.